Hello, welcome. I am joined today by everyone's favourite pink YouTuber, Tommo.
Clappity clap.
And today, once and for all, we are finding out the very best livery in the history of Formula 1. We've got 32 of the most iconic liveries from the sport, each team's best from the last 10 years, 17 fan favourites, and 5 wildcards, all randomly placed into a bracket system where they're going head to head. In each matchup, we discuss which one is better, one is eliminated, and one moves on to the next round. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, until we reach our final two, where we will crown the best livery ever to race in Formula 1. Should we find out our contenders?
Interesting. I've already got a few ideas what some of them might be, but we'll see.
Well, that might be because you can see them all on the screen. So if we show the people...
Well, perhaps. But also it's like when I read, Brabham 1976, I can't really picture that one off the top of my head, but there's a couple of others that I certainly can. Yeah, sorry, this is quite a few.
So I guess before we start, how is your livery history knowledge, would you say? So are you the kind of person who's like 1982, this car, or is it?
No, you know what I'm not? Like, I know what I like when I see it, and my favorite generation in terms of purely an aesthetic side of things is kind of late 80s, early 90s. I think the simplicity of those cars, fat tires, really like basic, kind of almost like toy cars. And the thing is about a livery has to work with the canvas it's on. Okay, you compare Williams FW14B from 93 to the 2008 McLaren that has all these veins and is all crazy, right? A livery has to match up. If you swap the liveries of those two cars around, they just wouldn't necessarily work. So yeah, it's very much the meeting of both. Okay, it's the paint job, but also the canvas.
I completely agree. Like you have to paint. It's a 3D shape. It's not a flat thing. So you have to paint what's there. You have to highlight certain things and mask certain things. I guess that is another interesting question. Do you personally find it difficult to separate a nice looking like car from a nice looking livery? Because there's lots of cars that even if they were just black, are very sexy. And I think they get remembered. Yeah. They get remembered for that, but people confuse it as having a nice livery.
Yeah, I think there's something, in those early 90s cars. You look at like the Ferrari, for example, that Prost would drive back in that kind of era, and it's just red car with black wings.
It is, and it might even be on the list.
It might just be on the list, and
it looks amazing. But it is just a red car. Literally,
is. But then you go, I don't know, Honda when they had the Earth car or whatever, which was very out there and very Look, it's like everyone's got their own cup of tea. Everyone's got their own way of, and I feel like sometimes I don't know about you, but I will like a design that goes against a lot of the principles I feel like I hold around livery design, and there's just something I'm just like. I just like it, and I just don't think there's any particular reason for it.
I agree. Like, it's obviously subjective, but also, no, it's not. We need the best one. So I think let's get into it. We're starting off with the 10 current teams, not this year, but just the 10 current teams. Then we go into classics and wildcards. Obviously, they'll start to get mixed together in head-to-heads. But I thought the current teams would just get blown out of the water by some are like fan favourites from history if they went up against them in the first round. So we have to give them a fighting chance to get through to later rounds. So our very first matchup, McLaren 2023 versus Haas 2020. You may be wondering, why McLaren 2023? It's the best of a bad bunch. I'm just going to put it out there. McLaren fans, I know there's lots of you. All of their cars look bad in the last 10 years. But I quite like this one. The blue, like the little bits of blue, the little piece of orange at the very back to show off the driver number. I think it was fine, personally.
It gets a fine from you. Okay, and what about the Haas? What's the theory behind that?
I quite like the 2021. It's simple, it's very clean. Because obviously they wanted the big Haas logo, and they worked with that very nicely. So I actually do quite like the Haas 2020 car. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I feel like maybe you've been in your sleep consuming some of my videos, because I remember that Haas 2020 livery, one of my earliest livery review videos. I absolutely love that 2020 Haas.
It's a nice car. It's like they didn't have many sponsors, but that kind of works to their favor at that time.
Look, they've got the little kind of the carbon on the fin on the back. They've got the little kind of
the
detail
zebra print
built into
carbon.
it. Yeah.
It's I like it.
Got
I like
something.
that.
It's got something about it. That McLaren, it's the blue for me is just why? And they've dropped it this year, but it's still on the merch. I'm like, why is it still on the merch when it's not on the car? And like, either drop it or don't. And I don't know. I feel like looking at the 10 teams on the grid, like no other team utilizes papaya, orange, whatever you want to call it. So just own it. You don't need to add a second color in there. Just own it. And they have done this year. And I think the livery is better this year for dropping the blue. So for me, this head to head, Haas all day, mate.
I would also say Haas for this one. I think it's cleaner is my main thing. I like
it's so
white, black, red. It's very clean. It's very clean. Like underlining the Haas through the little flick on the H, just really nice. So I think consensus, easy first winner, Haas is through to the second round, and look at that. Our second matchup, Mercedes 2020, to clarify, the updated one after they came back, the all black one, versus Toro Rosso 2019. I think this is quite a strong matchup.
Okay, so this would have been nigh on impossible for me to choose if you'd have moved one of these cars 1 year either way.
Which one?
Which car do you reckon? So the Mercedes could be 21 or 2019, or the Toro Rosso could be 2018 or 2020.
Okay, that's 4 options, man. I think you're maybe going to say Toro Rosso 2018 when they had the white ball. No? AlphaTauri
Mercedes 2019 is
Really?
one of my favourite liveries of all time. I think that car is stunning.
Silver one.
The one, it's silver to black. So it's got bits of
Okay.
black at the back and it's silver at the front. And just the Porsche, when I talking about kind of the canvas and the livery, I think that is just, it's so nice. Like at the time, I don't remember but looking back, I'm like, oh my God, that car's unreal. But the 2019 Toro Rosso is also one of my favourite liveries of all time.
It is
So
a
that is my
beautiful
winner.
car. The 2019 one, because they had that for a couple of years, right? And
Yeah.
at first it was just with like white paint. And I think in 2019 they must have figured out how to do the silver with less weight. When they brought that out, oh my God. Like obviously to look like a proper Red Bull can. So beautiful.
The current Visa, whatever it's called, that is like, it has the silver, but it also has white. And I find that really jarring that they have both.
It has to be one or the other. Yeah, they're too close. The thing I don't get this year is they could have made it look exactly like this. Like that is the branding for the team, right? It's the same blue again. Anyway, I would say the Mercedes W11 with any other matchup probably would have won because I think that's a beautiful car. It's the inverse of the 2019 one, right? So it's like black into silver because what they did with the diamonds at the back. If you see this in real life, I don't know if you ever actually like saw one in 2020. Beautiful. When it like turns through the sun because those silver peaches like catch the sun, really nice. But the 2019 Toro Rosso is like top 10 of all time livery, I would say. It's a really, really tough matchup for Mercedes. I will say all of these are randomized. I like rolled a random number generator. Nice. Really brutal matchup for Mercedes to start this off because I think they would have been through with basically any other team.
But that Toro Rosso, that could go the distance.
All right, our next one, Sauber 2023 or Williams 2021.
This could not be easier for me.
Really?
To be fair to the Williams,
are you about to say something bad about this Williams?
Once we'd settled into it, I was like, okay, cool. When this livery dropped, I was like, bro, this could be the worst livery of all time.
Really?
When they dropped it, I was like, what? Like, look at it. It's chaos.
I love it.
There's zero consistency. There's all these different angles, all these different colours. There's no identity. They've just chucked a bunch of colours. It's literally like in the F1 game, you just go randomise. You know when you like make a sim and you make their head really big and their eyes really small and their nose like 16 foot wide? It's like they've done that and just gone, yeah, I'll do, bye, like chuck it out, go on. And shock they didn't stick with. They've now found an identity, and it's not this. All right, it's got the blue. That's about the only thing that it has in common with the current livery. That Williams livery is trash. I will not hear anything else. And the Alpha's a banger.
I mean, fair play. I really like the Williams one. All I'm going to say is I like the Williams one. It looks like someone's early attempt at like the Forza Motorsport livery generator. Like they put a lot in there because they're like, we do more and it looks better. But I think
more layers is better. More layers is better.
I think it works, but I will agree the Alfa Romeo looks better, like by some margin.
Define works, like, you know,
it's just a decent. It has a nice identity. Like it's a chevron thing. It's obviously to go with the W that they put on the airbox.
Yes.
It looks good from a distance. Like it does.
The other side of a wall.
But they put the little orange streaks on the front end, right? Like on the front wing and the nose cone. There's little orange highlights.
Sorry,
Alfa Romeo's going through. Alfa Romeo's going through. I'll concede.
It's a wrap.
It's going through. I should say at this point, there's probably some people wondering why I didn't go for one of the Martini Williams. Mm-hmm. Because obviously very popular, like the 2014 kind of Williams.
Yes.
There's some other Martini cars in here, unsurprisingly, that just blow it out the water. And so I thought there'd be no point fair. Because I don't want to have like a whole Martini bracket.
Yeah. That's fair. You know what could have actually been a good shout as well? The livery that was never, the Rocket livery, the blue and red one. That
the toothpaste one?
Pre-season. Yeah, they only saw it pre-season tested and never again. I thought that was actually pretty good.
I agree. It was quite nice. I've gone for like actual season race liveries is the thing. Because obviously we have some amazing like one-off liveries, test liveries, that kind of thing. But it has to be like a majority of a season. Because, otherwise it's going to be like Golf McLaren and all these ones.
Well, maybe one day we redo this video, Mr. V, and it's special edition liveries only.
That's a good idea.
Bank that in.
Next matchup, Alpine 2021 or Aston Martin 2023.
Oh, tough.
That's a strong matchup.
Okay. Give me some early thoughts. From your end.
So, obviously, Aston Martin, once they changed in 21, they've all been beautiful, but it's similar to Ferrari. It's just a nice shade of green, right?
Yeah.
The 2023, I think they did the best with the other little details. If you see the other cars, they bring the green to the front of the side pods, but this one has that nice black detail, gives a really nice shape to it. Also, the line, they had more of the kind of cognizant greenish color for the pinstripe, and they went to the yellow for this one. Really works well, really perfect. That Alpine from 2021 is like a 10 out of 10 livery when they came out with that. It's so nice. This picture that we're seeing doesn't do it justice. The color of it is so nice.
Before BWT came in and were like, pink, this is what could have been. And it's like, we had this and now we don't. And it's like, that makes me want it even more back. That Aston Martin, I could completely agree. Stunning color. They still don't seem to have quite worked out. Like, it's a green, but sometimes it's a bluey green. Sometimes it's like a green screen green. And it's like, so that's a bit weird. But it's a very elegant car. It's a single colour with a very simple design. But that Alpine, just à la le bleu, full on France, like with a shiny light blue and it's the Alpine for me, mate. It's got to be because it's just.
Oh, I agree.
I just want it back.
The bit they did at the back with the A logo, the integration of that, to me it looks like it says LA, but I don't mind. It is beautiful. I like when you try something different. They tried something different, smashed it out the park. Alpine 10 out of 10.
Look at their endurance car, that does WEC and Le Mans, like beautiful. And it's got, it's basically this livery adapted. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I love that car. If that car's in the final, I'd be happy because that in real life as well. Oh my God. So Alpine heading through.
Sacre bleu, indeed.
Which means our final matchup from current teams is Ferrari 2022 versus, I put Red Bull 2021, but it's actually basically 2016 through to 2021. It did not change.
Ferrari, we have said this earlier about early 90s Ferrari with Prost at the wheel. It is red car with black and black front and black rear wing, essentially, isn't it?
Yes, it didn't take them long, but it works.
No, this was quickly. It didn't have. They were clocking off early that day. So the Red Bull. The thing is, the Red Bull is such a. It's almost like when Max is winning all the time and he never gets driver of the day, because you're never going to give credit when it's just such a given. And they roll this livery out every year, but it's so legible. And you think back to like the Marlboro McLaren or the John Player Special liveries, like of those liveries became iconic because they were on the cars for multiple years. For me, just for that Red Bull livery has to go far, I think, because it's so legible. They've really like Red Bull know what they're doing with marketing, but this is exactly what you need a rolling advertisement to be. It's just immediately legible. There's contrast. There's enough contrast in there. You've got, especially with the yellow, but it still screams Red Bull, even though it's not a rip of the can. And I think the Red Bull's gonna take it on this occasion. I'm hopeful for a Ferrari banger later on down the line.
There's more Ferraris.
The Red Bull.
There's more Ferraris, obviously.
Yeah,
I agree. Red Bull have never really changed. They obviously started in 2005, and they've just evolved slightly every year, and they've just kind of figured out what works and made it better. And so really this car is 15 years of evolution, and it's just amazing. I say the Red Bull has to be recognised as well, as you say. It doesn't really get recognition because it doesn't change, so people stop noticing. But I feel like they actually kind of like changed the livery game a little bit with this one. They invented a couple whole new things, like that kind of nose cone and air intake. Symmetry wasn't really a thing in livery design until then. Just top tier. And also the mat.
Yeah, the mat as well. But also, I do miss the big Red Bull on the side that the 21 car
That's
had.
why I went with
now
this.
We've got Oracle.
Yeah, so since 2022, Oracle on the side, trash. Not actually, but much worse. Like, the Red Bull in red, beautiful. Yep. Really cool.
Agree.
Okay.
Strong agree on that one. Nice.
This, again, tough matchup, because that Ferrari is a sexy car. It's a plain red car, but it's a very sexy car. But got to recognize the unsung heroes of the grid. The team that never wins anything, Red Bull.
Never gets any credit.
No.
Oh, I love it.
So we'll give them one. We'll give them a little pity vote.
No, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
So that is all of our current teams, and that is all of the last 10 years. Now, it's a free-for-all. 2013 backwards. Let's get into it. Our first matchup, Benetton, 1986. I don't know if you know what this one looks like, but I think you might recognize it. Versus Sauber, 94. Do you know either of these liveries? Have you seen them before?
I've definitely seen the 94 Sauber. I mentioned that in a video at some point. I was doing an edit for someone. Maybe it's when I was doing an edit for throwback to my WTF1 editing days. I feel like I used that picture for something.
Okay.
A big throwback. But I don't recognise the Benetton, to be honest. I don't think I've seen that one before.
Okay, so when I was looking through the history of these, the Benetton one actually comes up a few times. Like, people mention it as one of their favourite liveries. This is Benetton's first year. It's the year after they bought the Tommo team. And I guess they wanted to stand out. So they did this kind of like paint marks thing. It's just on the top. If you look from the side on, it's kind of it's this racing green colour. I like it though. I like it. It's nice. The Sauber one doesn't get talked about much. I think it's because Sauber were pretty slow in the early 90s.
Yeah.
But the dots thing, again, I like a strong concept. I like committing to the bit. Why not cover it in dots? Like, ruin any video footage that contains your car.
It's creative, and obviously it's to do with, they've got the big watch over the Tissot, right?
Yeah,
Tissot,
yeah, they literally have a watch painted on the front of the car.
Yeah. Well, you know, with the drivers have on their gloves, they have. Actually, hang on. I swear I've literally got an example. Give me a sec. I literally won a pair of gloves from Williams Flex, and they've got exactly what I'm talking about. A bloody watch on the thing.
I've always liked that they do that, because basically every driver has that on their left hand. and you never see it.
It's smart.
You never see it because it's hidden
Yeah,
against the side of the cockpit. It's the fun.
You only see it like the end of the race when the drivers like put their hands on top of the wheel and are just
Yeah.
like cruising around, and then they're, oh, there it is.
They should
Smart,
put
but not
them-
smart enough.
They should put them, and listen out teams, put them here. Like, you know, people where they watch on the inside sometimes. Put it there, and then when you're holding the wheel, it shows up.
People wear their watch on the inside.
Have you never seen that?
Never.
It might be an engineering thing, like if you work in factories and workshops. Because obviously you don't want to like put the face of your expensive watch into like a saw. So you put it on the inside, and then it's protected. It doesn't get scratched. Have you
So your arm still gets
never
cut
seen
off.
someone wear their watch?
Ever.
Really?
Ever.
Like just like
I
this.
am a
It's not that
outside
weird.
face. Wow, so you do it as well. It's not
No,
the
I
same.
don't do it. I just moved it. I can't move it back now. It's stuck.
Right, we're getting sidetracked. Right,
Yeah,
this
we
livery. So I think I've got to be honest. See the Benetton, and I just think colourful sperms. I don't know if you want to leave that in.
I will leave it in, and I agree. It
But
looks a
it's
bit like it's a little bit off-putting. It looks like they're kind of flapping around, but it doesn't look like controlled and intentional. You know what I mean? It looks like someone's been like shooting paintballs out the car while it's driving.
Yeah,
Put it in like a nice way.
I quite like the Sauber. I think that is a interesting. I don't love the watch over the top.
I don't like the big watch
pretty
either.
tacky.
It is.
No, but the polka dots, you know, there's a degree of, I can see them. They're bigger in the middle, and as they kind of fade out gradually, that's quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Sauber for me.
I think I agree. Sauber has to move on. Ferrari 92 versus McLaren 88. This is randomized, but it's made some very, very strong matchups in the first round.
You bastard.
This could have been the
absolute
final, obviously. As we alluded to before, that Ferrari it's just red with some stickers on it. But because it's got the very skinny wings in black, it's like just the perfect stroke on those wings to like really pop the red off. It's also quite a dark red. It's a little bit lighter than this picture looks, but it's quite dark, like darker than they then went in the noughties. Really nice. It's simple, but it's the red car, and it's the red car because the red looks good. On the other side, we obviously have a cigarette packet, but it's very distinctive. Basically the fastest car of all time.
That Ferrari car is beautiful. But as a livery, I think the Marlboro McLaren is so iconic, and it's simple, but it is doing more. Is in terms of they've not just chucked white and red together. They've actually had some thought, and they
got the
aligned it with
masking
the
tape
cigarette
out and they did
branding.
some lines.
I mean, exactly. Come on, it's a tough job.
No, I
So,
agree.
I'm saying McLaren. Yeah.
I think for this, McLaren is a livery. The Ferrari is just a paint job, really. It's beautiful.
I
And
agree.
I would probably say the Ferrari is a better looking car, but McLaren is a
people
better
don't-
livery.
People don't look at the A-Gip and Pioneer and fit. This livery doesn't captivate. And of course, yeah, the on-track success for McLaren played into that, but this livery doesn't captivate the imagination of a fan base like the Marlboro McLaren does. I mean,
That is true.
You could take all of the logos off of that McLaren.
You would know
Granted,
exactly
you could take
what,
it all
yeah.
off of.
You would know exactly what it is. I get you. But then Ferrari would be like, maybe it's 91, 92. So,
Well,
yeah.
even just the composition on its own, even if you just took the almost the colours out, if you took the red off that Ferrari, it's not a Ferrari, and the logos, it's not a Ferrari anymore. If you just made it a generic colour, even if you changed the colours on that Marlboro McLaren, it would still be like, that's a Marlboro McLaren. You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
I know what you mean, yeah. Even in black and
proportions,
white,
that's-
even in however you do it. I get you. I agree. I think I tend to agree. It's a livery, and it's the livery. I don't know if it's necessarily the best livery, but it's like, that is the F1 car livery. So, it has to win the first round. Next round, it will be up against either Lotus 67, the first livery, or Braun 2009, which is I say Braun 2009. There's only one Braun car, but everyone else has a year. So obviously, Gold Leaf Lotus, red, white, gold, very sexy car.
As a livery, as a distinctive, recognizable piece, they both do a fantastic job. And that 67 Lotus, I mean, just it's not even a car at the back. Like behind the driver's seat is just an engine that's being held up by wheels. Like that's
I love it. It's great. We should do that now.
Unreal. The Braun's a good looking car. I don't gas it up as much as I see a lot of people absolutely adore that livery. And I think, again, age, I was a kid when in 2009 when that car was winning. So I think as a livery, as a aesthetic piece, what am I more drawn to? For me, it's the Lotus.
I'm going to say something that's quite controversial. I don't actually like how the Braun looks. Like, I love that team and I love the story of that team. I don't like the fluorescent yellow. But that if you're going to use it, they have to use more. It's such like a small amount. This is talked about as one of the best looking cars of all time. And I could not disagree more. I really don't think it's actually a very nice looking car. In my opinion,
I think it's okay. Something I don't like about it. It's very front heavy, like the front wing, because it's all white, and there's no black on the front wing. The front wing looks massive, proportionally to the car. I feel like, and that bugs me. I feel like they could have put more of the black on the front wing to make it look a little bit less cumbersome.
That is one thing about the Braun as well, because like normally you see pictures of cars from this kind of like front quarter angle. From front on, the Braun is all white. From side on, the Braun is all white. From the rear, it's basically all white. Like, you only see these stripes from a very specific angle. It's not for me. I don't like it. Lotus, on the other hand, very sexy. Like,
yeah.
And that is the livery. That's the one that kicked it all off. So,
yeah,
got respect. Got respect.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Before that was the first. Was it first proper brand deal that was signed, wasn't it?
I think it was like the first full body livery, potentially.
Oh, that does ring a bell, yeah.
I'm not going to say anymore because I'm just going to get it wrong, so I'll just...
Power of editing, my friend.
On to the second half. Our very first matchup, McLaren 2002 versus Renault 2005. We got a noughties matchup for... I think it's the first noughties cars we've seen, apart from the Braun, of course.
Oh, Mr. V. You've put me in a Mr. situation here. Right. Okay. So that West McLaren is not necessarily the 2002 one, but that
it's kind of like in general. Some of these are obviously like eras. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The West era.
That is my most nostalgic livery.
Really?
Number one. That is the one. My earliest memory of F1 is that car, like that livery. So that is the nostalgia's there, but that 2005 Renault as a distinctive livery is stunning, and I feel like, just like I said with the Marlboro versus the Ferrari, Marlboro McLaren versus the Ferrari, as a car in isolation, I would rather. If I had to live with one, well, maybe not live with it, I wouldn't do the commute in it, but
they're real bad over speed bumps, mate. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, especially the RB20. I wouldn't take that over any bumps anytime soon. But that West McLaren, as much as that would probably go in my personal collection over the Renault is the better livery.
The way you were saying that the West McLaren is your like first nostalgia livery, the Renault 2005 is that for me. Like, I was 10.
Yeah.
It was the quickest car out there. It's Fernando Alonso. But also, I love like a bright livery, blue and yellow. You can't miss it. Like, that's on screen. You're not looking at anything else. It's fantastic livery. I also think the Renault one, the way they use the sponsors, like the Mild 7 works great. Even the little, I don't even know what brand that is, but like the yellow eye on the nose. Like the placement of lots of sponsors, I think is just really perfect for that car. Whereas the McLaren one is maybe a little bit more, we signed them so they have to go on the wing kind of thing.
Yes. No, I'd agree with that. I think, especially I don't know, I must have been a really boring kid to be attracted to the silver grey car. Like, what am I doing? There's that bright red car. There's the Renault livery wasn't that bad. It was similar livery in 2002, I think, wasn't it? The Renault. It was.
Oh my god, I don't know. No. It was I think it was more blue or more yellow. One of those two.
Either or. Renault wins.
Our next matchup, another wild card, Footwork 1994 versus Renault 1983. I think these two probably less well known. Take a second to take them in. That Footwork is one of my favorite cars of all time. I don't know if it necessarily looks good, but it looks. It looks though.
That
the Renault
rear
car on the
wing
other
is
hand,
a rear wing, by the way.
it's two. It's got two. Mate, being an engineer in the 90s, you just like, you're doing lines of coke, you're like, another wing! Just add another wing! It was a great time to be alive.
I want to love the Renault because I really did. When they changed to Alpine, obviously the 2021 Alpine was like a banging livery, but I was very sad to see the 2020 black and yellow Renault go.
Yeah, that's a beautiful
on
car.
this. Yeah, on this car, on the 83 Renault, I'm not loving it, to be honest. You know what? It's kind of like I don't like trainers that have black kind of outsoles, like the when the sole is black, and like because typically on a pair of shoes,
if the whole thing's not black, if it's like black and then a colour.
Yeah, just the rubber sole, that if that bit's black, typically they just make they just look like school shoes. I don't know. I just don't really.
Whereas
think
so? This
the
is
colours
a
are
plimsoll, is
flipped,
what you're saying. This is a school gym, like for 7-year-olds.
It's the ones that the kind of the square toes that give you 99 curve when
the ones you get in a supermarket for like £4.
So I think the Renault's not doing it for me. The footwork is actually.
The more you look at it, the better it gets. This is what I'm saying. I love this footwork. I put it in because it's one of my favorite cars. It is pretty cool.
If you squint, it's like the white Red Bull from like 2021 or 2, whenever it was. 21, that was. Yeah, it kind of is. You kind of a distance. That could be it. You know?
I mean, that was a great livery.
Gets my vote.
So.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Too good.
I agree. I love the footwork car. The Renault is a classic. It was like the first turbo car ever, and it's Renault colours. It's all yellow. It's a cool car, but the footwork is like. Yeah. I have no words.
Trey Bomb.
No words.
Trey
It's going
has
through.
no
It's
words.
going through.
Have we agreed on all of these to this stage? I feel like generally we're pretty aligned here.
I don't know. You said some bad things about some cars I like. Williams 2021, which I really like, absolutely slandered. But the actual winner, we have to agree. Like, we can't move on until we agree.
We'll be here all day.
There's no casting right.
True.
All right.
True.
Our next matchup, another wild card: Arrows 1979 or Ferrari 76. Similar eras, very different liveries. Niki Lauda's 76 Ferrari. It's the Ferrari from the film Rush, of course. Makes it very distinctive. He obviously actually didn't win a championship in this, but that Ferrari for me, absolutely beautiful. The Italian tricolor down the side. You can't really see from this angle, but if you see from higher up, they have like white pinstriping on the top of the side pods. Really, really nice. But bronze car is very cool.
Bronze car is bronze.
Yeah, hear me out. Bronze car.
The thing, so that 76 Ferrari, it's not a very, in my opinion, this could be slanderous, it's not a very, the canvas is not very elegant. I mean, it looks like a snowplow.
Yeah.
On the front of it.
The shape of the cars is dog in the late 70s.
Proper
horrible
strange.
shapes. Yeah, real weird.
Yeah.
Those wings,
the
the wing that held on by like this much in the centre.
Like, could they have painted the wing? Or were they just like, you know what, we'll save a bit of weight and just...
No, they definitely could have painted it, but they just chose not to.
Yeah.
But that's the scheme. They have a silver rear wing as well. It's painted silver. It's painted silver. They chose that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a decision.
Yeah.
Those wings would have... I think in white, those wings, those bits that are silver, if they were in white, it would have been an easy win. I still think it's going to be a win for the Ferrari for me because Bronze car might be bronze. I mean, it's too bronze. If they'd have put a bit more, maybe if that front wing had been, black, a bit of black there, maybe. I mean, that black penthouse text, you can't really read it. It's not very legible.
That's fair.
Yeah, I just.
Okay, I do disagree, but I don't feel that strongly against the Ferrari.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to go on like who dislikes one of them most, because I like both of these.
Okay.
If you're saying the arrows is not for you, then
nah, it's not for me. Sorry,
it's Williams 21 all over again. Crushing my dreams.
No, but I hate that car. Like it's that.
It's nice. It's nice.
No, do you remember? No, because they got their app like hacked or something, and then it leaked this 3D model, and I was like,
yeah.
There is no way that is their livery. And to be fair, when we actually saw it on the car, I was like, it's gone from horrific, like borderline, like I need to file a police report, to I just don't want to look at it. It improves somewhat, but it's like, no, sorry, we're not having this conversation.
Clearly, Tommo, some people didn't understand their genius back in the day. Clearly. Anyway,
hey, look, I'm happy
to put Ferrari through, I think is what we're saying. Okay. I will say the tricolor on this one really saves it. Like, that's a really nice touch.
The tricolor is the winning, I think.
Yeah, without that is a pretty horrible looking car, honestly. And therefore, our next matchup, two Lotuses. Lotus 2013 versus Lotus 1990.
Is that what you call two Lotuses? Two Loti?
So, Kimi Raikkonen's... It's the throwback, of course, the John Player Special, which may or may not turn up later. Specifically the one with the red details, the last time they used it. Versus the camel car. It's simplicity versus like strong concept.
This is the easiest one so far for me.
I have no idea which one you're going to say though.
That Camel Lotus is absolutely no. I love that car. It's just, when I say it's simple car with simple livery.
Yep.
It's yellow car with a bit of blue text on it and just logos dotted around. Again, it's because that era of Formula One, I think those cars are so beautiful aesthetically that the simpler the livery, the more I like it.
I know what you mean. Yes, like the arrow shape was so nice. Like the airpod, the way it slopes down. Just do nothing. Yep. Just let people look at that. I do get you. It's strong. Again, you see this from a distance. I have a real soft spot for this. I think it also comes from the fact that Kimi was like, he was getting on podiums that he absolutely should not have been getting on back in 2012, 2013.
Yeah. It's because he was getting the bag, wasn't he? It was like every point he got, he was getting
10k a point, something like that.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Bankrupt the team.
I don't like that livery. I don't.
Really?
I think it's messy. Yeah, it's just it's all over the place. Not a fan.
If you remember,
it's a bad homage to the John Player Special.
Would you say the same thing for the year before? So 2012 they didn't have the red pieces. It's like exactly the same, just without the red. Did you still?
I think I preferred the 2012. Hang on, let me.
It's literally exactly the same, just without the red. It doesn't say Kimi on the intake.
Oh yeah, I did find that a bit. I thought that was a bit of an ick when McLaren put the drivers' names on the side. I'm not gonna lie.
People are really fond of that, but they forget that in the other car was fucking David Coulthard, and it says David on the side of the car. Like they're like, oh, Kimi's a cool word. You can't write David on the car,
bro. You could not do that with Nigel Mansell. Imagine Nigel on the side of your car.
That might push it so far that it like goes around and becomes cool again, to be honest.
Oh,
but fair enough. Yeah. That camel car, again, like top 5 all time. You don't have to do much. It's just yellow. It's just the sponsor's cigarette packet, but it works great. As you say, beautiful car. Don't need to do much. Paint it yellow. Done. It's the same with like a Lamborghini, right? Just paint it yellow. Yeah. Done.
Functions as a livery should function. Maximum branding for Camel, Bosch.
Our next matchup, and I swear to God, this was random. Brabham 1975 versus Brabham 1976. Okay. So, it's 2 Martini cars at once. We haven't seen one so far. Now you get 2 for 1. Ooh. The white Martini car or the red Martini car. Both of these fan favourites, and understandably, very cool. Which one's better?
You first. Mr. V, talk to me. What do you think? What's your feelings?
Personally like the white one. I think, again, maybe that's in a reverse nostalgia, because I then obviously watched the Williams Martinis, which are white with this scheme. So maybe it's because of that. But I think it shows off the Martini stripes better to put them over white, whereas they get a little bit lost on the red, because then it's just two blue stripes, right? You don't see the red stripe through the middle.
I agree with all the above. I think
there we go.
It's more there's more contrast, so the Martini branding pops more. I also love the big number 8 on the side. That's really cool. Obviously, the side pod's a bit different on the 76 car, so they didn't have space for that. But just the shape with a massive airbox at the top as well. That's kind of cool. So I think it's a very cool looking car, and I think the livery is that's a stunner. I love that. That is I feel like I had that as a toy car as a kid, like a little one. I feel like I did actually have that exact one.
They made lots of Hot Wheels, so like the 70s cars. I think I had one as well. Yeah. All right. 75 Brabham goes through. Next matchup, Lotus 76 versus Red Bull 2013. I kind of had to include the RB9 because it is a classic. It's one of the most dominant cars of all time. But it drew the John Player Special, which is brutal in the first round.
The purple Infinity Red Bull is kind of cool, and I'd like to see them. I'd like to see this current livery that they have in 24. If they could do a little bit of an homage to that would be kind of cool. But I mean, we've already got a very strong Red Bull here in 21.
Put it this way: this is not better than the 21 Red Bull, is it?
It's not. It really isn't. Truthfully, it isn't. Like, no. If it had Red Bull text on the side, that would maybe be a slightly different conversation. But I think the gradient hasn't aged as well. I think these old liveries have.
I don't like the purple.
JPS.
To be honest, we discussed it, but like the JPS can't lose in the first round. It's just like it's not allowed. So Brabham 92 or Jordan 91. These cars basically raced against each other. What are you saying? So the Brabham is one of our wild cards.
Oh, you bastard. That is... Oh, no.
And then the Jordan 91, obviously beloved the 7-Up car.
Oh, God. Why have you done this? This is not fair. I think that is the best looking F1 car. Even take a livery off it. I think that's the best looking F1 car of all time.
Completely agree. With no paint, this is the best car of all time. Look-wise, obviously not round to track.
Yeah.
But
it looks a bit like. Do you ever watch Robot Wars back in the day? Razor.
I did. I don't know them by name anymore. That was a while ago. Oh,
Razor was the one that went.
Was he not called like Claw Pincer? Was he called Razor?
No, that was on the House Robots. Razor was. I literally saw Razor in person. They brought Razor to my uni, and I got to see Razor.
Talk about Razor like you had a chat with him. Saw him down the pub.
My phone won't load it. It looks like Razor, like the airbox where it kind of comes over and back. It's stunning. That Brabham livery, if you put that on that Jordan, that would be, oh my God, we'd have to put this behind a paywall. I gotta go for the Jordan, man, but that Brabham, that's
no.
tough.
I agree. It again, kind of the same as the JPS. The Jordan has to go through on the first round. It's one of those liveries like Formula One cars around the world have got this on posters at home. Like, it's such an iconic car. I love the Brabham, and you don't see enough pink. I mean, well, you do on Alpine, but good pink you don't see enough of.
Yeah.
I wish this had been a different matchup for the Brabham, but 7-Up
it's
Jordan.
colour blocked as well, which I love. I love the colour blocking.
With a white pinstripe in between.
Oh, it's just so good. The thing is, I think what speaks volumes for the Jordan, yes, of course, Schumacher drove it in his debut Spa qualifying, and he put it 7th.
Yeah, once.
But other than that, it didn't really achieve anything.
No.
Yet it is still so remembered, and I think that speaks volumes to just how good a livery it is.
Yeah, I agree. That is a 10 out of 10 S-tier livery. Yeah. Our final matchup of the first round, Williams 92 versus McLaren 2012. Again, this is a kind of matchup that could have easily been semi-final, I think. These are two of the best looking F1 cars of all time, in my opinion.
It has to be the Williams. It has
The
to
Williams?
Be the Williams for me. It has to be the Williams.
No. The mirror, the mirror McLaren. The mirror McLaren, never before anything like it. Never since anything like it. Beautiful. Beautiful.
But the Williams is the Williams.
I know.
Oh.
But the Williams has a 20-year advantage on the nostalgia factor. If these were both from 1992, and they were both like won the same number of races.
The thing is, right, so that 92 Williams is so much better looking as a, again, ignore the livery, as a racing car, livery-less racing car. That 2012 McLaren is not nice, in my opinion.
I also disagree with that.
Really?
Because, yeah.
That nose?
Yes, but McLaren had the best nose. Noses were bad in 2012. I don't know why it says McLaren 32. Noses were bad in 2012, right? But McLaren somehow managed to still make it like sleek. Lots of teams had a stepped nose.
Nah, mate, I'm so no, but I do love the Chrome McLaren. I do.
Yeah.
I truly do. But you've put it against the 92 Williams.
I didn't put it.
What am I meant to do?
The Google random number generator put it against it.
Are we gonna have to? We might have to do a little flip a coin on this, because I feel like we both like both liveries. Obviously, we both love both liveries, but that's one of your favorite. You said it's your favorite of all time.
That is my favorite car of all time. The McLaren MP 32.
Well, okay, if we're gonna do it like that, that McLaren is your favorite of all time. That Williams is not my favorite of all time. So I think we've got to give it to the McLaren.
But I mean, I'm happy with that.
You know what? Comments, I'm sorry. I tried my best, right? But
you don't need to apologise. They're going to agree with me. They're going to agree with me.
I'm not so sure about that, Mr.
You might get
V.
some
I'm
like 45-year-old dudes who are unhappy, but the McLaren 2012 is better looking.
They're the scariest ones. So, no, go on. McLaren it
scariest.
is. McLaren wins.
Okay, so into the round of 16. Things are hotting up, Tommo. But cooling down in here. Let me just put on one of these.
Is that a corduroy cap? Kind of similar to my own, but what's that branding, Mr. V? That's very interesting.
Well, I'm glad you asked in such a natural way. I need to tell you the Mr. V's Garage store is now open. If you love the high-speed green screen garbage that we have on this channel, you will love the new products we have based on that exact same insanity. We've got shirts, we've got hats, cargo vroom vroom, yes, cargo vroom vroom. We even have the very first Mr. V sticker pack. Look at that, that is horrifying. Check it out now at MrV'sGarage.com. That's MrV'sGarage.com. Patreon members get 10% off. Now, back to the video. Our first matchup of the round of 16, Haas 2020 versus Toro Rosso 2019. One of these cars is nice. It's a good car. One of these cars is like a legendary livery.
It's the Toro Rosso.
The Haas 2020.
Let's not waste the people's time. Let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. Toro Rosso's going through. That car is at least like a semi-finals car. Good. Next matchup, Sauber 2023 versus Alpine 2021. Again, I don't think that this is that close.
I do really like that Alfa Romeo. I'll be honest. I do really like it. I liked the red and the white, and when they dropped that, it doesn't shine. It doesn't sing like the Alpine one does. That works so well as a branding exercise, a moving billboard. The Alpine is a much better moving billboard, and also I just like it more as well. So
I would not get a poster of the Sauber C43, but I would absolutely have a poster of that Alpine. Like that Alpine is really beautiful. Red Bull 2021 versus Sauber 94. First wild card, which made it through to the round of 16. I think it might have met its match.
I am going to say for me it's the Red Bull. If we're gonna, this is an objective list. Remember, this is fact. Okay, and if we're looking at facts, okay?
Exactly.
It's not about what I like or what you like. Facts. That is factually a fantastic livery. That does a fantastic job of showcasing the Red Bull brand. Bosh.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. And you want to know another fact? It does not have a massive watch printed on it.
That is also a fact.
And so for those two reasons, on equal levels, Red Bull's going to have to go through. Lotus 1967 versus McLaren 1988. This one's tough.
It's difficult. Again, that early generation of car, well, not as early as 67, but that late 80s, early 90s generation of car. So simple, so iconic. With Ayrton at the wheel as well, man. Come on. He's
not part of the livery, mate. Ignore him.
Yeah, but
he's not
it's
part of the livery.
The story that sells the livery, right? And it
we're not ranking stories. We're ranking paint applied to carbon fiber.
It's in there, Mr. V. It's in there. Okay,
I know.
No, I think. Oh, that Lotus. It's. I feel like
the Lotus is so nice.
There's not many liveries that Lotus could lose to, but I feel like this is one of them.
I'm gonna have to disagree. In my eyes, the Lotus has no faults. Like, there's nothing wrong with that car. Personally, the McLaren is maybe a bit too simple. And there's maybe like too much white. Because you know what I mean? They've done the chevrons, they've done the Marlboro logo. They were gonna draw a 45-degree line regardless of the car. And I think from some angles, it doesn't work fantastically. That Lotus car, mate, they could have employed Pablo Picasso to come paint this thing for all I know. Like, that is art, the Lotus car.
Well, and they've got an extra colour in as well. They got the gold in.
3-2, they're winning on colours. Yeah. Big number in a circle. Big number in a circle.
This is true.
Yeah, but it's not wrong though, is it? Big number in a circle.
If they put that 12 on the rear wing of that McLaren in a circle, you know what? You might have twisted.
I genuinely think if they had done that,
you might have twisted my arm there. Yeah. You know what? Fuck it. Lotus wins. You've convinced me.
It's just timeless.
You've convinced me.
I mean, they're both timeless, but I'm going to shut up now. Lotus wins. Anyway, our next matchup, Renault 2005 versus Footwork 94.
Look, I know you love that Footwork.
Less strong than the last matchup.
It's not a 2005 Renault, is it? Come on.
I'm not going to fight that yet. I also love the Renault 2005, and I love it more. So
yeah. Sorry,
Renault 2005. No discussion needed. Ferrari 76 versus Lotus 1990.
Oh, it's the snowplow. The fact that was a decision to paint that front wing silver and that rear wing silver is just no. The tricolor is lovely. It's red. Red's.
I think up against the camel car. It's not enough.
Dub.
Yeah.
Camel dub.
Camel absolute dub.
Something else.
I've never like cheered this hard for cigarettes, but Camel, massive dub. All right, Brabham 75 or Lotus 76. These cars may have even raced if they carried on the John Player Special. They may have been alongside each other on track. This is tough, isn't it? One of these is like an icon, right? But the other one is the Brabham 75, and I like it more.
I think the contrast on the Martini is exceptional, and I think those lines. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Lancia have just announced they're going to go back into WRC, and
yeah, I saw that.
The livery has a very Martini-esque colorway on the side. That's so iconic, and I feel like that is what Martini has arguably done better than any other brand in establishing its logo on a racing car. There's like Martini, there's like Golf. You can still go down Tesco and get a bottle of Martini for like £7. That is what it's all about. That is what a good livery should do. And so I am going to say the Brabham 75.
So I thought you were like putting all these in to soften the blow and saying that it's going to get knocked out.
No.
Okay.
No. What a livery is trying to achieve, that Brabham with the Martini livery on it is a much better livery, I think, facts, than the JPS.
Facts. I'm happy to go with that. I love both of these. I think both of these like worthy.
They're both
worthy to go through. But you know, they're both mid-70s. They're both representing that era. So one of them is going through. Brabham's going through. Not unhappy with it.
We don't make the rules. We do. But...
We don't make the rules. We don't make the rules. They were set in stone before the dawn of time. Our last matchup for the round of 16, Jordan 91 versus McLaren 2012.
Are we gonna have to have an argument here, mate? I think this is where
I think so.
The niceties are out the window. Sorry, we can't put the 2012 McLaren in over the 91 Jordan. We can't do that.
You could.
No,
You
no, no,
could.
no, 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 no. We can't.
We could. We could though.
No, but we can't. Comments.
But-
I'm trying my
but-
best here. Okay, whatever happens, this man's editing the video, not me. So
I'm not gonna force you to do that because seeing them side by side, I think the Jordan looks better. Just objectively, I will agree the 7-Up car is absolutely beautiful, and it almost lost to a pink Brabham in the first round.
Yeah,
but
but
now
that
we're
was-
saying it's like the best of all time.
that was one hell of a Brabham, though. No,
It was a really nice Brabham.
come on, it's that 7-Up.
If you just ask me, if you like stop me on the street and you're like, what's the best looking Formula 1 car of all time? I would say the 2012 McLaren, personally. But now I see it in this context.
And
I'm
again,
happy for the
as
Jordans
a
to go through.
livery, as a distinctive piece that's remembered, even though it wasn't a particularly great car, like green and blue.
I think that's that's the real test. Like that car was not quick. The McLaren car won some races. That Jordan was not that good. To any other car, I would not allow that McLaren to go out. But fair play. We are through to the quarterfinals. Let's get through these. Toro Rosso 2019 versus Alpine
Wait,
2021.
this is semis, no?
There's 8 teams.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, jeez.
Yeah.
Any early thoughts from Mr. V's?
Seeing them side by side, I am leaning towards the Alpine. I think the choice of colours is just a little bit stronger. That blue compared to the Toro Rosso blue, I think is maybe stronger.
So on the Toro Rosso, I love the red part that kind of cuts through. It contrasts so nicely to the navy. And then the Red Bull, especially the text as well, where it's massive. It literally fills up the entire space. I really like that.
I do love that.
The Alpine, I think where they've got the map 3 is a little bit clunky. I don't love.
It could be better. Yeah, they could have filled out that because it's like a flat surface, right? They could have just filled it in red.
But I love the French flag kind of tricolors, whatever on the front and rear wing.
The detail on that, if you zoom in, is like very fine white stripes over the top to give this kind of gradient. Like it's blue then red, but then they put white stripes over the red, which gives it this sort of like fake gradient from a distance.
Are you still erring on the side of Alpine?
I think so. I think seeing them side by side. I think it's the brightness. Maybe it's just the saturation. My monkey brain is going.
So
Bright color.
I think that the one that you can't even really see it so much from this picture on the Toro Rosso, but the rear wing is quite weak on it. So they've got the Red Bull Cola.
I don't like where it says
on the
cola.
outside, but on the inside as well, it's some weird like almost like teal blue, I think, and it's advertising something else. Whereas like the Alpine's got black front, black rear wing with that.
It's just black with the French tricolour.
Right, I would not have said this beforehand, but I think I'm going to give it to the Alpine as well.
I think so too. Man. I think it's just saying the cola bit lets it down.
This is
the clown nose on the Toro Rosso. I don't like the little red bit at the front.
I feel like I hate myself somewhat for this, but I think the Alpine's got to be it. Like, I actually do. Kind of agree.
Did you think when you woke up this morning that your entire reality was going to come
Toro
crashing
Rosso
down
2019 slander was not on my list.
Red Bull 2021 or Lotus 1967 could not be more different.
I think that, so the 67 Lotus is a beautiful car, but if you take the text off of it,
it's maybe too simple.
If you take all of the text off of that Red Bull car, including the big Red Bull on the side, it's still very clearly a Red Bull because of because of how they've implemented the ball on the airbox and on the nose. And I think I'm still gonna go with the Red Bull.
I agree. It's so distinctive, that like matte. What color is that?
Deep
navy blue. Yeah, dark blue. But that color specifically, there's no mistake that's a Red Bull. Like there's been other cars in sort of various reds, But also, yeah, the pinstriping,
Yeah.
the yellow accents, the red on the outside the wing. I have no like negatives about that Red Bull. I literally said the exact same thing about the Lotus, but the more I look at it, they could have done more. You know, do the outside the front wings in a little like red accent. I don't know.
There is something in its simplicity, but I think it's crunch time now, and I think the Red Bull is a better livery.
Renault 2005 or Lotus 1990. These are actually surprisingly similar. 15 years apart, but yellow and blue.
Look, I love the camel car, but I think it's got to be the Renault. It's more of a challenge to make that yellow and blue, and then you've got like the navy, the darker blue with like the Telefonica on the rear wing, and then
there's more skill on the Renault.
Because they could have really messed this up, that Renault. They could have really messed it up.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And actually, a couple of years before, it was pretty messed up. If you look like a couple of years other side.
And they didn't.
I agree. You have to, just for like technical difficulty, you have to put them through all that.
Ooh.
All right, our last matchup of this quarters, Brabham 75, Jordan 91.
Okay, I mean...
I don't actually think this one is that close.
It's not.
I think it's the Jordan.
It's the Jordan. It's the Jordan.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The Jordan, after almost going out in the first round, is now just running away with it.
But no, these semis though are mad. These semis, oh no.
They are pretty mad. We have a 2021 semi, then two of the most iconic cars of all time.
I think I prefer the way the Alpine looks, but I think the Red Bull
But what?
is the better livery. As in...
That doesn't make any sense.
It does.
So you don't think it looks
the
as
poster? The poster would be the Alpine on my wall. But if I worked if I was in the marketing department of Alpine and Red Bull, I think you'd be happier in the Red Bull marketing department. Brand visibility, brand legibility, Red Bull is stronger. But the Alpine's still very good. And it's like, because we've had the Red Bull for so long and it's so... Like, if the Alpine was still running this livery now, would I be saying that? Maybe not.
And also, if the Alpine had actually, like, won more than just a fluke race, would you be saying it?
Maybe not. Oh... yeah.
It's brutal, isn't it?
I prefer the white Red Bull that they did in 21 to that Red Bull. And so the fact that it isn't even my favourite Red Bull livery, I don't think it can beat the Alpine.
I was slightly confused by the explanation, but I do agree. No, actually, no, I know what you mean. If they can change it and make it better, then you're in your head, you're like, well, why don't you use the better one? Like, why are you holding out on us?
Yeah.
Alpine have never done anything even close to as good as this.
Facts.
And so I think it has to be the Alpine.
Allez le bleu.
As you were saying, it is a shame that the 2020, 2019 Renault couldn't make it in. Because it's absolutely beautiful, but they each got one from the last 10 years, and it had to be this Alpine.
Well, look, who says the English and the French don't get along? Come on, we've put an Alpine in the final.
An Alpine designed in Oxfordshire.
By Sean Ball.
By British people.
Shout out, Sean.
Okay, so our second semi-final, Renault 2005 versus
God.
Jordan 1991. That is brutal.
This one's going to cause chaos in the comments. I don't know.
So go on your criteria from before. When you did like Red Bull versus Lotus. It's kind of similar to that. The Jordan is simple and it's beautiful, but is the Renault maybe like a better advertising piece for Renault, if that's what a livery is?
Well, the problem the Renault has is that the cars, like, look at the how crazy the side pod is. Like, it's got all this sticky out stuff.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the Renault is this distinctive, despite the fact the 2000 car is that ugly as a machine.
They've not given, you said like it's not a blank canvas, it's like a 3D. That's like a 7D car to like try and get a design looking half decent on.
Yeah. Like, that is difficulty set to 11, and somehow they still pulled it out.
They did. No, you're right, they did. Oh, but that Jordan's so pretty. That it's such an elegant, like that they are like, yeah, the Renault has made a pretty vulgar car look unreal. The Jordan has made an unreal car look I can't even. There is not a word in the English dictionary for it.
It's like a Picasso in the Renault versus like a, I don't know, like the Mona Lisa.
So I think
they're both great.
As a livery, the Renault is more elevated by its livery than the Jordan is. Yeah, I think that's the way to look at it. Maybe the Jordan could just be a plain green car and would still look unbelievable. So I think
that is very, as we're saying, that is the most beautiful like silhouette on a 100%. Car ever. So maybe actually the livery is a bit mid, and they could have done it.
Whoa, hang on a second, take that back.
I said
maybe someone could say that, not me. I think the livery is carrying more on the Renault. So I think this is a livery video first and foremost, and I think it's got to be the Renault then. Do you agree?
Fair play. You heard it from Tommo, not me. The Renault is better than the Jordan 1991.
I think.
No, I agree.
A reasoning check.
The Jordan is a beautiful car, but the Renault is like the more impressive livery. And they're both like, you can't make an argument about being distinctive. You can't make an argument about being memorable. But they could have done literally anything on that Jordan car, and it was. They
could have made it bronze.
That would have won, in my opinion. If it was metallic bronze, that would have been the best car I've ever seen. You would agree.
Maybe I'll knock it up in Photoshop.
Anyway, the final.
We'll see how that looks.
The final, somehow, is both Renault. Alpine 2021 versus Renault 2005. It was rigged.
Allez bleu.
I think, honestly, putting those side by side, it's pretty clear for me. But I'm not going to say which way.
Okay. I think. Yeah, I've got my answer. How do we reveal?
Should we say it like 3, 2, 1?
Okay.
Say.
You count it in. So it's 3, 2, 1, then say. Okay.
Yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1. Alpine
2021.
Yeah. I like.
We have a winner.
For all the arguments that we put Renault through to the final on, the 2005, that Alpine is also. It's not the most beautiful thing if you don't paint it, as we found out, these last couple of years.
Yeah.
That livery is doing such heavy lifting. But it is going beyond heavy lifting. It's lifted up and then just like launched it into space.
If that livery, if that 21 Alpine had achieved what the 2005 Renault had achieved, and they stuck with it, and BWT didn't come in with their water money and ruin it all, then that would be like... Yeah, I mean, it's just it would be so iconic, and it's so unique, and so is the Renault. There are things about the 2005 Renault. It is very busy. There's a lot of sponsors in there competing, and I think just there are fewer sponsors. They're not fighting for space quite like they are on the 2005 Renault on the 2021 one. I just that and the fact that it's the French flag colours as well. I don't know. It just seems to go full circle, and it's like full Alpine, and it's like the full brand experience. And yeah, that's just it takes it.
I think seeing it side by side, completely agree. The Alpine now makes the 2005 look bad. It makes it look busy. Like they're not going to. That's not how it works. But they could have lost some sponsors to free it up a bit and make it look a bit better. Like suffering from success, having more sponsors, but we're judging how they look.
We don't like money, right? We want it to look pretty, right? If only, If only. But yeah, I think 21 Alpine's a worthy winner, and it makes me even sadder that it's not here anymore, and we've just got a carbon pink thing. It's a shame.
Yeah, the absolute tragedy of. Well, just everything that's happened at Enstone in the last 3 or 4 years, basically.
Certainly not suffering from success.
No,
Just
they didn't.
The suffering.
They didn't know at the time just how good the times were. Like, no one could have understood the peak they were on, and just how far they could fall. But yeah, I'm happy with that Alpine 21. That is a beautiful car. The details, the French flags, like, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Like, there's room for improvement. This list could be different in 10 years' time, but worthy winner. Happy with that. The best livery of all time.
Wow.
If
Facts.
you disagreed with any of those judgments along the way, you're wrong. Thank you for joining me, Tommo. Could not have had
Pleasure.
a better person to go through this with.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
No
Couldn't wish. It's the best way to spend your day, you know, talk about livery. Sit.
It is nice. It is nice. Because you get to argue, you get to, like, you know, you get to discuss some stuff that ultimately, it means nothing. It's just some paint. Like, it's no big deal. It's all good
We
fun.
care for some strange reason. We're not talking about 2026 regulations and actually making racing better. We're talking about paint. What's important? What's really important, right, in this world?
Well, you say that, but when there's no paint, people get real mad.
People lose
Anyway.
their minds.
Thank you for joining me, Tommo. I've been Mr. V. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Until then, I'll see you guys later.
Peace.